Hello there, my name's Chris Jones from Ofsted. I'm one of Her Majesty's Inspectors and Specialist Advisor for Apprenticeships.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for talking to us today, Chris. The concept of endpoint assessment and grading is still new for many apprenticeship training providers. So really we're interested in how is endpoint assessment impacting on the role of trainers from an Ofsted perspective?
Essentially, I think, one of the things around the Ofsted inspection is that we don't inspect endpoint assessment in the same way that we don't inspect A-levels. We inspect the preparation up to endpoint assessment. But that means that providers really do need to think about the endpoint assessment right from the beginning of the programme so that they know exactly, having looked at the assessment plan and the standard, the expectations of knowledge, skills and behaviours, that they then begin to think when they do the initial assessment and interviews of apprentices that they've got that end point in mind so that the whole curriculum, the whole programme of learning for the apprentice gets them ready right from day one for the endpoint assessment.
Fantastic. So can you tell us what early good practice you're starting to see from inspections around the delivery of apprenticeship standards, and I guess in particular preparation for gateway and endpoint assessment?
Yes. One of the things I say regularly is that in order for endpoint assessment to be effective, or therefore for apprenticeships to be effective, get the initial assessment right. Know what it is that an apprentice brings to the table when they start their apprenticeship. On a level 3 apprenticeship, for example, we can take any standard you like, but we may well have brand new starts and also on the same apprenticeship with the same employer, staff who've been employed for some time. Now, in order to get people, because endpoint assessment is the same for everybody, you have to really think about the curriculum plan differently for each of those apprentices, because they'll need different types of preparation for that endpoint assessment. So that's why I say, sort of building in and thinking about that all the time will really help the apprentices and the provider and the employer know what it is an apprentice has to do. So providers who really get that right, who know what an apprentice brings, differentiates the curriculum, support and experience for apprentices at different stages throughout the curriculum, that's what really does make a difference. And it's about also having the milestones ready, understanding what it is, the different steps that apprentices have to take in order to reach competency. I'll give you an example. I'm going into Gap to buy a t-shirt, and there will be retail apprentices on the floor, and some of them will be, sort of your job is to do the merchandising, fold those t-shirts in a special way that they have them doing Gap. So there's that opportunity then, so they'll be doing that. Now the next phase might be, yes, you can do that really effectively, but now what we want you to do is to have that eye on the customer. It's a bit like being in a restaurant as well, isn't it? When the waiter comes round and serves you, and you know as a customer that you want them to have waiter eye so that they recognise you and will come over and support you. And so the supervisor in each of those circumstances will be, in a sense, planning the preparation, saying, okay, you've got this bit, you're folding t-shirts, you're clearing tables well, you're recognising customers, now move on to the next stage. There's a milestone there, and then we'll begin to develop you further. And you can apply that principle of milestones to any apprenticeship, and any time an apprentice has to begin to do things fluently and independently before moving on to the next stage.